Hey everyone, my name is Jake and today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to fix a flat tire on a mountain bike. Alright, so the first step into changing a mountain bike tire is to get the necessary materials you need to do so. So what you're going to need a bike pump, new tube, you need a set of tire levers, and something to hold the brake pads open while you work on the bike. So the second step into changing a mountain bike tire is to put the bike in a sturdy spot. I have mine in a repair stand, it's the best place to do it for me. The third step is going to be taking the tire off, so obviously. So you're going to take it off, you're going to unclamp it, you're going to pull the derailleur back, you're going to kind of hit it a little bit, and it'll pop right out. So once you do that, you have the tire off. Next step, you're going to take the piece that is going to hold the brake pads open. You're going to do that and slap it right in there. So once you got the tire off, the next thing you want to do is to remove all the existing air out of the tube, because when the tire gets flat, not all the air escapes from the tube inside of the tire. So what you want to do is kind of roll it around, get all the existing air out. You can kind of hear it coming out of the valve a little bit. Once you think you got all of it out, you want to take it off the bead, or take the bead off the rim seat. And once it's off, I want it all off the bead there, off the seat, bead off the seat. So, and the next step you want to do is take the tire off the rim, one side of the tire off the rim, not both sides. So you slip the tire lever under one side, and you hold the tire firmly, and you pull. And the tire should come off nice and easy. Shouldn't take that much effort. If it is, you're probably doing something wrong. And then the next thing you want to do is remove the old tube from the wheel. So you're gonna have to unscrew this little locker that locks the threads, or locks the valve in place. You're gonna remove the old tube. All right, so that's the hard part. Once you're done with that, it's pretty easy from there. The next thing you should do after you have removed the tube from the tire is to check to see what caused the actual flat. So what I usually do, what I recommend, is to take your hand and run it on the inside of the tire to feel for any thorns or nails or anything else that could have pierced the tire and flattened the tube on the inside. So what you want to do is just run your hand along both sides of the tire, both walls of the tire, all the way around, and then you want to run your hands on the middle of the tire, and then you usually find something. This is just flat for the demonstration, so there's nothing in here currently, but you will normally find a thorn or something of that nature inside the tire. You want to remove that using needle nose pliers or tweezers or anything else that you could remove it with. Make sure to get all of it out of the tire. Don't leave anything else in there, because if there's still a little bit of it in there, it will flatten the tire again, or flatten the tube again, and you have to get a new tube and do the whole process over again. So once you've inspected the tire for stickers, needles, or anything that could pop the tube inside the tire, you want to take your new tube and inflate it just slightly. I already inflated it just for time's sake. It takes a little bit to inflate it. I use my mouth to inflate it just because it's a little easier than using a pump. And once you have your new tire or new tube inflated, the next step you're going to want to do is you're going to want to install the new tube. The first thing you're going to do is to take the valve, be careful not to bend it, and insert it through the valve hole on the rim. And after you do that, you're going to insert the tire, or to insert the tube into the tire. So be careful not to pinch anything. You want to make sure it's all the way in there, just like this. And once you have it all the way in there, next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to press the bead of the tire onto the rest of the rim. This is fairly easy for this tire because I've done it so many times in this tire. If you have a new tire, it's going to be harder to do just because the rubber's not stretched out. Once you've put the new tube in, you're going to want to take the little the nut that goes on the valve that keeps it in place and keeps it not from bending. So once you've screwed on the retaining nut all the way onto the valve and it's nice and tight, you're going to want to inflate the tire. I've already inflated the tire for time purposes because it takes a little longer with the floor pump. I inflated it to around 30 psi because that's the pressure that the tire snapped onto the rim. You want to make sure that the tire is seated all the way onto the rim to avoid a blowout. The blowouts will happen on the trail because you didn't seat the tire correctly, and it's kind of scary when it happens because it's really loud and it'll startle you, and you'll probably fall because your tire flattened on you. Then you're going to have to replace the tire on the trail, and that's really never fun. So once you have the tire all seated onto the rim, you're going to install it back onto the bike. Before you install it, you're going to want to take out that piece of plastic that's been sitting in between the brake pads while you do your work on the tire. So you're going to pull down the derailleur carefully, make sure not to bend anything, and you're just going to roll the wheel, make sure the chain's sitting properly. You're going to roll the wheel onto the bike. Then you're going to clamp it on. It doesn't have to be perfectly in the dropouts right now. And then you're going to take the bike off the stand. And then you're going to loosen up that clamp again. This is where you're going to perfect the alignment on the wheel. So you're going to kind of wiggle it around, and you're going to make sure the wheel is sitting all the way in the dropouts. And because if it's not, the brake's going to rub and the bike's just not going to work properly. So once you get all that taken care of, you're going to clamp back into the closed position. And once you're done with that, you're going to inflate the tires back to the pressure you want to ride them at. Because I usually run them right around 25 to 30 psi, but sometimes when you're seating the tire on the rim, it's gonna require 40 to 45 psi in order to seat it on there correctly. So that's all there is to it. It's not that difficult, and if you still can't get it right, you need to go to your local bike shop and they'll do it for you. Thank you for listening.